We are big fans here of bold political ads that can break through the political conversation to get people to rethink a race. Charles Booker, the candidate that you're seeing right there, is running in Kentucky as a Democratic. He's the nominee for Senate to go up against Rand Paul. I think he's on to something here. Take a look at this.
The pain of our past persists to this day. In Kentucky, like many states throughout the South, lynching was a tool of terror. It was used to kill hopes for freedom. It was used to kill my ancestors. Now, in a historic victory for our Commonwealth, I have become the first Black Kentuckian to receive the Democratic nomination for US Senate. My opponent, the very person who compared expanded health care to slavery. The person who said he would have opposed the Civil Rights Act. The person who single-handedly blocked an anti-lynching act from being federal law. The choice couldn't be clearer. Do we move forward together, or do we let politicians like Rand Paul forever hold us back and drive us apart? In November, we will choose healing. We will choose Kentucky.
So I can't say for sure. I don't believe that I've ever seen a politician posing with a literal noose around their neck to make clear how serious this is historically and references the bill there, which we'll talk about. He tweeted with this ad, "Lynching is a tool of terror. It was used to kill hopes for freedom. In Kentucky, it was used to kill 3 of my uncles. The choice is clear in this election." Jayar, what did you think about that?
Hey, so primary night when you were out of town, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to jump in because that was the night that Booker did win. I'm sorry, yeah, he did win that primary, and we asked him, so how are you gonna approach this? And he's like, well, listen, we're gonna go after Rand Paul. We're gonna name names and talk about who he is and what he's about. And I was like, man, I feel like I didn't say this, but I was thinking, I said, politicians always do that, or politicians always say that, or candidates, especially coming up against an incumbent, say he's got a record that we're gonna attack and we're gonna point out all of his wrongs and really connect him to it. I said, but that's kind of normal. This is not normal. And this is directly showing the implications behind what you say flippantly, because we hear it all the time. People like to compare folks to Nazis, or we like to say, hey, get off, the Democratic Party's got you on this plantation. They're lynching us in this. And they don't connect what those things really mean and how they think it's ancient history, just because they never really paid attention to what those things mean and how our history really does connect to that. It's part of why we don't like to teach that history to folks, because they might have those ugly scenes and reasons behind those ugly scenes in the forefront of their heads every time a politician says something like what Rand Paul likes to say. And it's not just Rand Paul, but considering Booker's running against him here, that's why. Point out that the things you say mean something. They evoke a certain feeling in certain people. So when you say, these black folks, black folks have been duped by the Democratic Party to believe that they've got their best interests at heart. Yeah, the Democratic Party does ignore black folks, even though they say that they do things for them. But when you start saying things like the lynching and then you're on the plantation, hey, that's real stuff. And that's stuff that people, your ancestors and people that are connected to your political ideologies, pushed for, made legal, and actually committed. So please keep my ancestors' names out your mouth. I'm glad he's doing this.
I am too. He's getting attacked. Definitely, like people are already spreading it, on social media. He's definitely gonna get attacked by the other side. A lot of people are drawing comparisons to, as you'll see in this tweet, this ad breaks through in the same way that Gary Chambers ads, one where he burned a Confederate flag, one where he smoked marijuana. Those were both very powerful, great imagery. I love those ads. I would say, I feel like Booker one-upped him in terms of the G's. This is fairly shocking.
It threw me off.
I like this. This is what's up. What's up?
Yeah, it threw me off, John. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, oh my God, it gets to your gut, and that's the point. I don't like seeing that. He had the noose around his head. I was like, don't do that, Charles. That's his decision, man, and it's gonna evoke feelings. And it's gonna make us think about what it is that we say and do and how we implement certain rules and legislate. Because it connects to this day. We like to separate the past from today. It's all the same place. And if we ignore it, we're gonna do it again. It's just it's just the way it is. It's uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. So let's not act like this was just a simple, easy thing to see.
Yeah, and let's also not act like he's invoking something from a million years ago. He says it was used to kill 3 of my uncles, not great-great-grandfather. Uncle, like, and he's not that old. Like, this is not that old. Anyway, look, some people are saying it's not a fair comparison because eventually Rand Paul did support a version of the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. Okay, but I looked into it. He thought that the original version was too lenient. It included too many things. He didn't like that. He wanted to be stronger by limiting the things that could count as a lynching. That doesn't sound stronger to me. And the comparison of healthcare to slavery, you can look up the comments. He did compare those two things. He said that if you have a right to healthcare, then I as a doctor am effectively a slave. This is totally fair for Charles Booker to criticize. Anyway, we're gonna be following that race. We've talked with Charles before, we will in the future. Really impressive ad there.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.